Several times a day, Customs and Border Protection officials drop off groups of migrants at the bus station in McAllen, Texas.
¿Cuándo fue que cruzó? When did you cross?
Edwin Rubio tells us he crossed the border the day before with his son.
¿Y usted vino porque hay un presidente nuevo aquí en Estados Unidos?
Sí.
Sí.
Sí, correcto. Sí. Él pues tiene mejores leyes ahí, de las leyes migratorias, está pues a favor del latino.
Rubio is part of a rise in arrivals at the southern border that's been slowly increasing since last April. The migrants are driven by the COVID pandemic and the devastation left by two major hurricanes. CBP reports about 78,000 people were apprehended at the southern border in January. These migrants have permission to move on with notices to appear in court.
The Biden administration continues to warn migrants coming to the United States that in many cases they will be turned away. But the fact of the matter is there are still some of these migrants who are being released. What we've seen here in McAllen is many family units. You can see here mothers and fathers and many young children.
They wait inside an old nightclub that's been turned into a Catholic charity shelter run by Sister Norma Pimentel. She tells us it's a confusing time on the border because while some families are being released, there are still roughly 20,000 migrants stranded on the other side of the border. These migrants are a result of the Trump administration's controversial Remain in Mexico policy.
It is very confusing and they don't understand that. Why them first and not us? You know, we've been here waiting and for this day, and it's so disheartening to see them in such terrible conditions.
While the Biden administration says it will begin processing migrants registered in the Remain in Mexico policy later this week, what's unfolding on the border captures the unstable reality of the country's immigration system.
Now is not the time to come, and the vast majority of people will be turned away.
Sister Pimentel says the numbers of migrants released to this shelter has jumped in recent weeks from a few people a day to about 100 a day now. And it's up to the shelter staff to administer COVID-19 tests. Local officials tell CNN out of hundreds of tests, only 2 migrants have tested positive so far.
They absolutely need to take this seriously from a public health perspective. It's a complete nightmare.
Some migrants, like this family from Haiti who say they entered through California, were forced to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks as a COVID precaution. They're being assisted by the nonprofit Jewish Family Service. The parents asked that we call them Faya and Dole. Faya says it didn't matter who was president, only that his family hopes to get asylum in the U.S. to escape the criminals who've tried to kill him.
Yo dejo mi país por una razón, para conservar mi vida y mi vida de mi familia.
Ed Lavendera, CNN, McAllen, Texas.